Hi, my name is Chelsea Alcock and I am the Marketing and Recruitment Assistant at Bidwell Henderson. We are here today to talk to Robert Kerr, who is our Interparties team leader. So, Rob, could you tell us a little bit how you began your career in costs?
Well, to tell you the truth, I never really intended to go into cost law. It was almost an accident, really. I did a law degree. At the time of doing the degree, I didn't really have any particular idea of what sort of area of law I wanted to go into. I had worked in the solicitors for a year, which wasn't something that really that particular practice wasn't something that was particularly enjoyable for me. So I did look at other jobs, and I got a job at a drafting firm in Manchester. Whilst I was looking for something else, and I kind of stuck around and never left. It was sort of a happy accident, really. But it's one of those things that I didn't even know existed when I did my law degree, and like I say, it wasn't something I'd ever thought about doing. It wasn't an area of law I was aware of. So when I did actually fall into it, I learned quite a lot quite quickly about what the job involved, what kind of work, the variety, the sort of the mathematical side to it was something that was well suited to me. The opportunity to put forward arguments, legal arguments, and to deal with a wide variety of cases, which I think perhaps in a more conventional role in a solicitor's firm or something similar, you'd be fairly limited in terms of the variety of work. But obviously, this role, you do deal with all types of work, and you do get variety. It keeps you interested. There's always plenty to read about and look into, and at the end of the day, it is helping professional clients, which is something that's enjoyable, and also being able to have solicitors, barristers, whoever come to you for advice is something that's really satisfying. And it's, like I say, it's a career that I've actually ended up enjoying quite well, even though I never thought it was something that I'd ever do. So it has worked out well for me.
Could you just describe what your department looks like now and the type of work that you do cover?
So at the moment, there's myself, and I think we have currently 3 other cost lawyers. We have a number of cost draftsmen as well. So predominantly we have our senior cost draftsmen who deal with the higher value and the more complex work, and a number of other draftsmen who deal with the slightly less complicated work. We do at the moment, we have quite a lot of work in, and obviously that means that we have opportunities for draftsmen to take on more work and try their hand at areas of law that perhaps they haven't previously dealt with. So there's plenty of opportunities for staff, and we're finding that at the moment, particularly, we're looking for more staff to come on board and assist. And there are opportunities for those people who are willing to sort of take the leap and get involved. So yeah, it's a good sort of time for us at the moment, particularly the department expanding, more people, more experience, more perspective, more skills. So yeah, it's something that at the moment, because we are having quite a lot of work, we're dealing with new types of work, so the opportunities are there. So I mean, in terms of the type of work, I think at the moment we deal predominantly with personal injury, judicial review, immigration, clinical negligence, professional negligence, commercial work. Like I say, it's a fairly broad range of work that we do. We're always looking to take on sort of new types of work. So perhaps if it's work that we don't currently deal with, it is still work we're looking for. So that's kind of the department, as I see it, is increasing staff, increasing sort of types of work, and I think that's probably what most people would say, isn't it, in terms of how they see the department ambition to expand. So that's pretty much the department at the moment.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about what your particular job role involves?
So my job role really is just to sort of oversee the work that goes on in my department. A lot of the time it's dealt with allocation of work, supervision of other members of staff, albeit that's fairly limited given the fairly experienced staff that we do have. So probably unusually for me as a sort of a team leader, I do actually get to do quite a lot of drafting myself, which is what I started doing when I became cost draftsman. That's what I started on. It's kind of my bread and butter. So for me, it's good that whilst I do oversee the department, it's I do have plenty of time to deal with the more traditional drafting work, budgets, bills, work for CMCs, detailed assessment, that kind of thing. So in terms of a role, I would say it's sort of more like a conventional cost draftsman, albeit with the allocation side of things, the odd bit of supervision, advices to clients, client meetings, looking to source new work, that kind of thing. But I think perhaps I'd probably say unusually there is still quite a high degree of the actual drafting work, which is probably the element that I enjoy the most.
Yeah. Would you say drafting actually helps being a team leader though?
Oh, I certainly do. I think having that, having the experience of doing the work that you're looking at from your colleagues, seeing the work, understanding it, knowing what it involves, and also to sort of at some degree sort of being in the trenches with them. You're not asking them to do something that you're not doing yourself. So I think that it also sort of fosters that kind of team sort of feeling. You're all doing the same thing. Okay, there might be some sort of some bits that I do that they perhaps don't, but fundamentally our jobs are the same. So if they've got a query about work, they can come to me because they know I do the work, and likewise if I have a query, I can go to them and we can discuss matters, and together we can agree what the best way of dealing with them are, and perhaps come up with some kind of approach that may assist in the future. So I think it definitely does help, and like I say, it's the part of the job I enjoy the most. So making sure that I do have I am able to do that sort of most of the time is something that I do enjoy. So.
And lastly, what advice would you give to anyone who is coming into this sort of career?
Well, it's probably I'm probably not the best person to ask. Bearing in mind I sort of fell into the industry by accident, but I think certainly having been through sort of the past 10 years and the changes and I think one thing I would probably make people aware of is that as an industry, it's one that's there's always a feeling that it's on the edge of some kind of sort of change. It never really stands still. There's always the idea that fees will change. There's always an idea that costs will be reduced, and there's certainly that certainly is the case. But there's clearly work, there's types of work that this job lends itself to. So fixed costs are something that aren't going to go away. But there's plenty from doing the job, plenty of other ways that you can be involved in litigation and provide assistance and provide value. I think the key thing I would say is to embrace change and look for opportunities. I think over the past sort of maybe 5 or 10 years, I think there has been a sort of shrink in the market for people who perhaps aren't really looking to sort of embrace the changes and sort of change how they work to sort of fit in with how work is going to be done going forward. So I think if you're someone who sort of understands what's going on, someone who is willing to adapt, someone who there's certainly room for ambitious people to do very well in the industry. Change or no change, the people who tend to do the best are the people who make the most from change, and the people who sort of don't are generally the people who don't do quite so well. So I would just say be willing to adapt, understand the industry that you want to work in, and that'll probably be my best advice, I think.
That sounded like very good advice. Thank you for that. Thank you, Rob, for answering all my questions today. If you are wanting to apply, then send your CV and covering letter to recruitment@bidwellhenderson.co.uk. Thank you.